I came back for it, like I said I would. Reel 42, position 1503. I had marked it in the log. I had noted it as a third point of interest. I had left a yellow flag on the winding spool and told myself I would return after the inventory. That was 5 days ago. I sat down at the console at 11:17 p.m. I threaded the reel. I set the playback speed to the standard and let the counter run forward. 12 minutes, 40 seconds, 13 minutes, 14. Margaret Hollis, speaking to herself in a room I have never seen, in a year before my father was born, describing what she heard through the static on a Tuesday evening in March. 15 minutes, 03 seconds. There is a splice in a recording that the laboratory certified as single pass, no edits, no cuts, continuous oxide from start to finish, uninterrupted. There is a splice. Not in the original. The original is on a different reel entirely, a consumer recording from the late 40s, the kind a radio amateur might make on a domestic machine. What I am listening to is the transfer. The copy made sometime after 1962 on Agfa LGS 26 oxide by a person or persons the chain of custody does not name. In the transfer, at 15 minutes and 3 seconds, there is a cut, a seam in the tape, hiss from one machine, then hiss from another, and between them, barely audible, reduced almost to the grain of the oxide.
She stopped here.
I played it 4 times. It was there each time. Same position, same voice. I logged it and sat very still for a while. Then I closed the log and went to find out who else had heard it. Status as of tonight. 7 reels, none of them in the catalog. All 7 physically consistent with pre-1951 manufacture. Acetate base, polystyrene flanges, the specific yellowing that comes from half a century of storage in a temperature-variable environment. All 7 chemically inconsistent with that date. Agfa LGS 26 oxide, a formulation that did not enter commercial production until 1962 at the Wolfen plant, in a different country, in a different decade. 6 of the 7 I have not played. I am noting that as a deliberate decision, not an oversight. I have 1 reel in active analysis. I am not going to play 6 more in the dark and alone until I understand what the 1 has already given me. The Form 17. I submitted 5 days ago. 7 reels, reviewer field, M. Vael, status pending, has not been actioned. The system has not responded. I note this without interpretation. The system processes on its own schedule. The lamp above the console is steady. It has been steady since the 3rd session. I find that I have stopped checking it. I decided tonight to go back further, not into the reels, but into the archive's own records. These tapes did not arrive here by accident. Someone transferred them. Someone shelved them. Someone handled them before I did. There is a procedure for establishing chain of custody. I know it well. I have run it on damaged reels, on disputed recordings, on acquisition lots with incomplete paperwork. I ran it on the 7. The earliest internal record, the first time any of these 7 reels appears in any document this archive holds, is a catalog entry from November 1971. The cataloger's initials are RC. 3 months of work, autumn and early winter, 1971. The handwriting in the acquisition ledger is neat, consistent, unhurried. The kind of hand that belongs to someone who has done this for years and knows that accuracy takes longer but lasts. RC touched every one of the 7, measured them, logged their physical condition, assigned them holding locations, noted their apparent age. I turned pages for a long time before I found a name. Ruth Callow, Cataloging Specialist, National Radio Archive, 1969 to 1971. I pulled everything the archive holds under her name. There was not much. Personnel records are stored off-site and would require a separate request. What I had was her working ledger, 112 pages, handwritten, the record of 3 months spent cataloging a collection that someone had left in no order at all. She was thorough, more thorough than the job required. Alongside each catalog entry, she had noted not just physical condition, but context, adjacent reels, relative wear patterns, whether a holding box contained evidence of multiple hands or a single source. She was trying to understand what she was cataloging, not just record that it existed. I recognized that impulse. The pencil marks on the hubs of the 7 reels, the marks I had already noticed and could not attribute, are in her hand. I am certain of this. The formation of the letters is consistent across all 7 marks and across the body of the ledger. Ruth Callow was the last person to handle these reels before they were shelved. For 51 years, nothing moved them. On page 87 of the ledger, she had cataloged reel 42. Her note reads, Splice detected at approximately 15 minutes, 3 seconds into playback. Physical examination confirms tape join. 2 pieces, different oxide texture, correctly aligned but distinguishable under magnification. Not present in source recording. Post-transfer insertion. See attached. There is no attachment. I checked the envelope, the box, the adjacent pages. Whatever she attached to this entry is gone, removed, lost, or never filed. She found the splice in 1971. She noted it precisely. She knew it was a post-transfer insertion. She knew it did not belong in the source recording. I kept reading. 2 pages later, there's another note, separate from the main catalog entry. Written in the margin, smaller hand, as if added quickly, as an afterthought or a reminder. Workin' audio log. R. Callow, November 9th, 1971. Recorded on site, stored with collection per standard practice. I went back to the 7 reels. On the 6th hub, the one with the pencil date I have already logged, there is a second mark, smaller, on the inside lip of the flange. The same hand. 3 letters and a number. RC, followed by the numeral 6. I checked the other 5, each one marked. RC 1 through 6 on the inside lip of each flange. The 7th reel, the one I have been working from, reel 42, bears a different mark. Not RC. A single word, in pencil, in the same small hand. Log. Ruth Callow's audio log is one of the 7. I sat with that for several minutes before I loaded it. The reel labeled log. November 9th, 1971. Ruth Callow recording herself the same way I record myself. A working log. a running account of what she was finding and thinking, spoken aloud into a microphone because some things are easier to say than to write. I threaded it into the machine. I set the level. I pressed play.
This is Ruth Callow, Cataloguing log. Session 14. Date is the 9th of November 1971. Time is approximately 10:40 p.m. I want to document what I found in the woman's recording before I write it into the formal ledger. I've been sitting with it for 2 hours and I'm still not entirely sure how to describe it in a way that will make sense to whoever reads this next. The recording is from the late 40s, a radio amateur, local by the quality of the signal she's capturing. Good ear, patient listener. She's recording herself listening, which is an unusual thing to do, and she's doing it well. The recording is clean except for one point. At approximately 15 minutes in, there is a splice. I've confirmed this under the lamp. Physical join. 2 different oxides, done carefully, but not perfectly. Someone edited this tape after it was made. I don't know who, and I don't know why. I've played the section around the splice 12 times. There's something in the pause between the 2 pieces. At the join point in the gap where the oxide changes, something is in there. I've written it down in the attached note. I'd rather not say it into the log. The splice itself is not the thing that's keeping me here at 10:40 on a November night. The thing that is keeping me here is this. I've been going through the transfer documentation. These 7 reels were transferred to Agfa stock sometime between 1962 and when they arrived here. The chain of custody document shows a checkout from an unnamed storage facility in 1962, signature on file, and then nothing. No return, no transfer receipt, no record of who brought them here or when. The reference number on the checkout form does not match any employee number in the archive's records. I've checked 3 times. Someone took these reels in 1962 and spent the next, at minimum, several years working with them before they arrived here. Whoever that person was, they are not in the system. There is one other thing. I was playing the woman's recording this morning, not the splice section. The beginning, just the first few minutes, getting familiar with her voice and the background sound. And then a pause between 2 of her sentences, a natural pause, the kind you leave when you're thinking about what to say next.
She was here first.
I've isolated it. I've played it back on 3 different machines. It's there each time. Same position, same voice. I don't know what to do with that. Tomorrow I'm going to pull the personnel records for 1962, every name with access to off-site storage. I'm going to find whoever checked these out and didn't bring them back. And I'm going to write a very formal report about the splice and whatever is in it. And what that voice. The lamp is flickering again. It's been doing that since the 2nd week. I've reported it twice. Facilities says it's on the list. I'm going to finish this section tonight and then I'll...
The recording ends there. Not a clean stop. The machine ran on. 11 seconds of tape hiss. The reel still turning. The capstan still pulling, and then at the very end of those 11 seconds, in the grain of the oxide, in the space between her last word and whatever she was going to say next.
She heard this part too.
I stopped the machine. The room was very quiet. The lamp above the console was steady. Ruth Callow's lamp flickered. Mine has not flickered since the 3rd session. I did not move for some time. I went to the terminal and opened the Form 17, the one I submitted 5 days ago. 7 reels, Reviewer field M. Vael. Status pending. Status. Reviewed. Reviewer M. Vael. Timestamp 317. I have no record of reviewing this form. I did not open it between the time I submitted it and tonight. The terminal log does not show a session at 3:17 on any of the 5 nights. I note this. I am noting it now into this recorder. The reviewer field of the Form 17 carries my name and a timestamp I cannot account for. I am not offering an interpretation. I am logging the fact. I submitted a new request, the full personnel file for Ruth Callow, plus the original physical ledger from her 1971 cataloging work. Not the copy that is already here, but the archive's own record copy held off-site. I noted in the request that the ledger's attached documentation is incomplete and that I require the originals to determine what was removed. Then I went back to the ledger I already had. Page 89. The page where Ruth Callow's handwriting stops. The last complete line reads, "Condition noted. See form appended. Provisionally." And then nothing. The line ends in the middle of a word. The pen came down and did not lift. There is a very small point of ink where it rested and then was removed. She was mid-sentence, mid-word, and she stopped. On the facing page, the blank page opposite the last entry, there is a marginal notation in pencil, different from Ruth Callow's hand. Small, careful letters, written with a light touch. 2 words. Ask Martin. I have previously logged this notation from the main collection, where it appears on a shelf label dated 1983. The handwriting appeared once, in pencil, on a label affixed to a storage shelf in Corridor 7. At the time, I had no second instance to compare it against. I now have a second instance. Same hand, same pencil pressure. The notation in Ruth Callow's 1971 ledger is also dated, in a different corner of the page, very small, 1983. 12 years after she stopped writing. 12 years after she went home and did not come back. Someone came back to her ledger in 1983 and wrote 2 words on the page opposite her last entry. I am logging the match between this notation and the one from the main collection. I am not offering an interpretation. One more thing. I compared the hand of the marginal notation against the material from the 1967 Harrow file, specifically the handwritten sections of D. Harrow's personal log, which I have in the archive's holdings. The formation of certain letters is consistent. The lowercase a, the capital M, the spacing between words. D. Harrow died in September 1967. This notation is from 1983. I am logging the inconsistency. I am moving on. I checked the status of the new request I had filed, the one for Ruth Callow's personnel file and the original ledger. Status: reviewed. Reviewer: R. Callow. Date: tonight. Timestamp: 3:17. Ruth Callow has not been employed at this archive since 1971. There's no active account under that name. There's no record of her re-entering the building, re-engaging with the collection, or accessing the archive systems at any point in the 51 years since she left. The request was submitted at 11:40 p.m. The reviewed timestamp is 3:17. The reviewer field carries her name. I'm going to let this recorder run for a while. I don't have anything else to add to the log tonight. The inventory is complete. The Form 17 is resolved in whatever sense that word applies. The ledger is back in its box. The 7 reels are on the shelf, 6 of them unplayed, the 7th back in its position among its neighbors. The lamp is steady. The archive is quiet. I went looking for another listener. I found one. She cataloged these reels 51 years ago, in a room that looked like this room, doing work that looked like this work. She found the splice. She found the voice in the pause. She filed a note and went home and didn't come back. Tonight, she reviewed my request. I am going to let the recorder run. She listens still.